Within each of us lies an ongoing struggle, one that is often unseen by others yet felt deeply within. It is the constant tension between our higher, nobler aspirations and the darker impulses that tug at us when we are least prepared. The battle is not just external, but internal. Every human being has the potential to do great good, but they also carry with them the shadows of their imperfections, selfish desires, and shortcomings. These darker sides of our nature are not always easy to acknowledge. Often they remain dormant, hidden behind the mask of social expectations and personal pride. But when you speak truth into a situation, you disturb that fragile balance. You cause individuals to confront parts of themselves they would rather not see. This confrontation triggers their defenses, their pride, and their ego. The demons we speak of are not external beings. They are the parts of the self that resist growth, the parts that cling to comfort, avoidance, and denial. To irritate the demons in others is to force them to see these aspects of themselves and, in turn, to question whether they will remain enslaved to their lower nature or rise above it. You are challenging their inner peace, disrupting their status quo, and this will always create a reaction. Words possess a silent yet profound power that shapes the very fabric of our lives. They are often taken for granted, spoken casually without thought, or said in the heat of the moment. But the truth is, words have the capacity to reach deep within us, to penetrate the surface and stir the depths of our emotions, thoughts, and beliefs. When spoken with intention and honesty, words can expose what is hidden beneath the facade we present to the world. They have the uncanny ability to bring to light that which we have worked so hard to keep buried. You may not realize it, but words have the power to evoke hidden fears, old wounds, and unresolved conflicts. A single phrase, a carefully chosen sentence, can cut through layers of denial and comfort, causing someone to reflect on their own life in a way they never expected. And this is where irritation begins. The moment someone's demons are called to the surface, those silent, lurking parts of themselves they would rather keep hidden, you have disturbed their peace. It is not the words themselves that cause the irritation, it's the reaction they provoke, because words have the power to illuminate the darkness, to make invisible fears visible. And for many, this is unbearable. They might react defensively, perhaps even aggressively. They might dismiss you or deflect your words with anger, but deep down, something has been stirred. Their demons, their pride, their shame, their guilt have been awakened, and they cannot ignore it. This is why speaking truthfully, especially when it's not what people want to hear, will often lead to discomfort and resistance. It's not that people are inherently bad or that they seek to remain ignorant. It's that we all have a deep-seated desire to protect our inner peace, to preserve the image of ourselves we have carefully crafted. Words challenge that image. They ask us to confront the truth, and most of the time, we are not ready for it. So when you speak out, when you speak from a place of honesty and moral clarity, you are more than just sharing an opinion. You are creating a moment of reckoning for the person on the receiving end. You are drawing attention to a part of them that they might not have even been aware of, a flaw, a weakness, a hidden fear. And this confrontation, though uncomfortable, is often the very thing that sets them on the path to self-awareness. You will irritate their demons, yes, but in doing so you may also be helping them face the truths they've been running from. Words are not just sounds or symbols. They are agents of change. They have the ability to stir the deepest parts of us, to unearth the things we have buried deep within. And while this may make others uncomfortable, it is through this discomfort that growth begins. So when you speak the truth, remember this: you are wielding a force more powerful than you may realize. You are not simply communicating, you are awakening something in others, and in doing so, you are challenging them to confront the very demons they would prefer to leave undisturbed. Self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth, yet it is often the one we avoid the most. To reflect on oneself is to hold a mirror up to our inner world, the choices we've made, the things we've said, and the way we have lived. It demands honesty, humility, and the courage to confront the aspects of ourselves that are far from perfect. But the truth is, most people would rather remain unaware of their own flaws than face them head-on. There is a natural discomfort that arises when we are asked to reflect on our own behavior. It's not because self-reflection is inherently painful, but because it forces us to acknowledge the truths we'd rather ignore. We may have built entire narratives around the person we want to be, and to face the gap between that image and who we really are can be a humbling, even painful experience. We want to think of ourselves as good, virtuous, and worthy, but when we pause to reflect on our actions, words, and motives, we often find that we fall short. And this dissonance, this gap between our ideals and our reality, creates a sense of discomfort, an itch that demands attention. To ask someone to reflect on themselves is to force them into this discomfort. You are not simply asking them to think or reason. You are asking them to feel something that is not easy to feel. The vulnerability of seeing their true self with all its imperfections and contradiction. It's like peeling back a layer of skin to reveal the rawness beneath. And that rawness often feels unbearable. This is why many people avoid self-reflection at all costs. They fill their lives with distractions, surround themselves with comforting lies, and create a reality where they can avoid facing what's underneath. But when you challenge someone to look inward, when you encourage them to reflect on their actions, behaviors, and motives, you are creating a space of vulnerability, a space where their demons are forced to come to the surface. These demons may not be literal, of course, but they are the aspects of the self that we deny, the arrogance we disguise as confidence, the selfishness we mask as self-preservation, or the fear we hide behind a facade of control. When these parts of us are exposed, they often react in the only way they know how, with resistance, anger, or defensiveness. For the person being challenged, self-reflection can feel like an invasion, a disruption of the comfortable world they've built around themselves. They may lash out, dismiss your words, or avoid confronting what you've pointed out. But this discomfort is the very thing that forces growth. It is through these moments of discomfort that we begin to change, to grow, and to become more self-aware. The demons that resist our growth are never vanquished easily. They fight back because they know their very existence depends on our denial. What's crucial to understand is that this discomfort, though unpleasant, is necessary. Without it, there is no opportunity for change. It's only through self-reflection, the honest, sometimes painful act of looking at ourselves without excuses, that we begin to peel away the layers that have kept us stagnant. When you ask someone to self-reflect, you are not simply making them uncomfortable. You are providing them with a chance to grow, to confront their demons, and to break free from the chains of denial and self-deception. Self-reflection is an act of bravery, for it asks us to be vulnerable with ourselves, but it is also an act of liberation. Through this discomfort, we find the power to transform, to shed the old skin and emerge as something greater. So, when you irritate the demons in others by asking them to reflect, know that you are not simply causing trouble. You are offering them an opportunity to face their truths and, in doing so, to live a more authentic, more purposeful life. In a world often defined by ambiguity, uncertainty, and compromise, moral clarity stands as a beacon, a steadfast light in the murky waters of human behavior. It is the ability to distinguish right from wrong with precision, to stand firm in one's beliefs, and to act in accordance with a higher standard of truth. This clarity is not always popular, nor is it always comfortable. In fact, it often serves as a sharp contrast to the blurry gray areas most people prefer to live within. It is precisely because of this clarity that it becomes such a powerful irritant to the demons in others. People by nature are inclined to avoid discomfort. We seek the path of least resistance, the one that doesn't challenge us too much, that doesn't ask us to confront uncomfortable truths about our behavior or attitudes. We want to live our lives in a way that allows us to feel justified in our actions, even when those actions might fall short of the highest ideals. The world is filled with compromises, little decisions we make every day that allow us to justify our behavior, to tell ourselves that it's okay to bend the rules just a little, to not be perfect. These compromises make life easier. They smooth over our flaws and provide us with a sense of peace, even if that peace is built on a shaky foundation. But moral clarity doesn't allow for these compromises. It forces us to see the world through a lens that doesn't bend, doesn't soften. It demands that we act according to what we know is right, not according to what is convenient or comfortable. And this is where the irritation begins. When you stand firm in your moral clarity, when you refuse to bend to the pressures of society or the justifications of others, you are not just challenging them to think differently. You are challenging them to confront the parts of themselves that they would rather keep hidden. The demons that reside in each of us are often fed by the compromises we make. They thrive in the spaces where we justify our actions, where we make excuses for our behavior, and where we allow ourselves to slip into moral apathy. When someone with moral clarity enters the picture, it disrupts this carefully constructed comfort zone. The clarity you bring into a situation forces others to examine their own choices and actions through a lens that is unflinching. It exposes the places where they have taken shortcuts, where they have sacrificed their values for convenience, or where they have allowed themselves to slip into mediocrity. This discomfort, however, is not a bad thing. It's a necessary irritation. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when we are forced to confront the truth about ourselves, even when that truth is difficult to face. Moral clarity then becomes a mirror, reflecting back the parts of us that are out of alignment with the ideals we claim to hold. When others see their own contradictions through your eyes, it's impossible for them to stay the same. The demons of complacency, of self-deception, of rationalization are stirred into action, and they will resist with everything they have. But here lies the paradox. The more you irritate these demons, the more you offer the opportunity for transformation. The irritation you cause isn't just a disruption, it's a catalyst for change. The person who is forced to face their own compromises, to see their own moral inconsistencies, is given a choice. They can resist, fight back, and remain entrenched in their comfortable self-deception, or they can use that discomfort to awaken the desire to grow, to improve, and to realign their actions with their values. Moral clarity is not a popular stance. It's not the easy path, nor is it the one most people will choose, but it is the path that leads to true transformation. When you speak with moral clarity, when you hold yourself and others to a higher standard, you will irritate the demons of complacency, hypocrisy, and denial. And in doing so, you offer them the chance to grow, to evolve, and to step into a more authentic, more honorable version of themselves. We often think of confrontation as a negative force, something to be avoided, something that causes division or conflict. It's a word that carries with it the weight of disagreement, tension, and even hostility. But when viewed through a different lens, confrontation can be one of the most necessary catalysts for growth. Confrontation is not about simply winning an argument or proving someone wrong. It is about forcing a confrontation with the truth. Truth about ourselves, about our actions, and about our deeper motivations. Personal growth cannot happen in an environment of comfort and complacency. Growth is a process of change, and change inherently involves some form of resistance. We grow by confronting the parts of ourselves that are incomplete, fragmented, or stagnant. This confrontation often comes in the form of challenge, challenging our beliefs, our assumptions, and the ways in which we view the world. The very word confrontation suggests a face-to-face encounter, a coming together of opposing forces. This could be a conversation that forces someone to see the flaws in their logic or behavior, a moment where they can no longer ignore the inconsistencies in their actions. When you confront someone with the truth, when you force them to see their own contradictions or failings, you ignite an uncomfortable spark. This spark is what sets the stage for growth. The person being confronted may resist initially. They may become defensive, deny what you've said, or lash out in anger. But this defensive reaction is not a sign of failure. It's the natural response of a person who is being forced to leave behind their comfort zone. A person who is being asked to face a truth they would rather ignore. And it is in this discomfort, in the pushback, that growth begins. The very fact that someone feels irritated or defensive about a confrontation indicates that something within them has been challenged, and when something is challenged, it cannot remain unchanged. The discomfort of being confronted with the truth is an invitation to reflect and reconsider, to ask oneself if the old ways of thinking or behaving are really serving their best interests, or if it is time for a change. Think about the moments in your life when you have grown the most. More often than not, these moments were not the ones where you were told everything was fine, that you were doing great, and that you could continue as you were. No, the moments of profound growth are the ones where you were confronted with your weaknesses, your blind spots, your mistakes. These are the moments that made you question who you were, who you wanted to be, and whether you had the strength to make the necessary changes. This is the great paradox of personal growth. It requires discomfort. It requires being confronted with the things that make us uncomfortable, the parts of ourselves that we may not want to acknowledge, let alone change. And the people who challenge us, who confront us with these truths, are often the ones who help us grow the most. They irritate our demons because they push us to face what we would rather avoid. They bring to the surface the parts of ourselves that need to be transformed. The discomfort of confrontation is the crucible in which true personal transformation takes place. When we are confronted with our flaws, we have a choice: to resist, to deny, to defend, or to listen, reflect, and take action. It is in this space of challenge that growth is truly possible. It is in the act of confrontation that we can decide whether we will remain the same or rise to become something greater. So, when you are confronted or when you confront others, understand that this is not something to be feared. It is the necessary process through which all growth occurs. It is only by stepping into that discomfort, by facing those parts of ourselves that resist change, that we can emerge transformed, stronger, and more aligned with our truest selves. In the end, it's clear that the very discomfort we try to avoid is often the force that drives our greatest transformation. The demons within us, those internal resistances, the avoidance, the fear, the denial, are not vanquished by running from them or hiding behind walls of comfort. Instead, they are confronted head-on, stirred and irritated by the challenges that demand we reflect, grow, and change. It is in these moments of discomfort, when our comfort zones are disrupted, that true growth begins. We live in a world that celebrates ease and convenience, that seeks to minimize discomfort at all costs. But if we are to truly evolve, to shed the limitations that keep us from our highest potential, we must learn to embrace the irritations that push us out of our stagnation. When we confront the uncomfortable truths, whether about ourselves or the world around us, we create space for something greater, authentic growth, deeper understanding, and a more purposeful existence. So, when you irritate the demons in others, when you challenge their complacency, understand that this is not just a moment of discomfort for them, it is an invitation to reflect, to grow, and to step beyond their limitations. Growth, after all, is not a passive experience. It is something we must actively pursue, even when it means stepping into discomfort. Let us not be afraid of the discomfort that comes with change, but let us welcome it as the force that carries us toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. Let us embrace the irritation, for it is often the spark that ignites transformation, and in the end, we will realize that it is through the discomfort that we are truly free to grow, to become, and to live authentically.